Dr. Mike here with Renaissance Periodization. What's up? Here's the deal. Fitness Myths video number 4. You have to go all in to get results. It's all or nothing. Let's take a look at the claim, why it's wrong, some grains of truth, and finally, what best practices are in this realm. Here's more or less the claim. And this isn't a lot of times a distinct claim people verbalize, but it's implicit in the way they discuss fitness. They basically say, if you're serious about fitness results, if you want to change, let's say Sandy at the office comes up to your desk and says, hey, now I want to lose 15 pounds by the Christmas holidays. What should I do? You got to say to Sandy, hey, listen, Sandy, you got to commit your whole life to fitness. You got to wake up at 3 a.m., drink raw eggs, throw up a lot, ostensibly run around with a little beanie hat and gloves in Philadelphia in 1979. Is this Rocky or what am I talking about? In any case, the idea is if someone is interested in fitness, they have to go all out, or at least really close. 100% in, which means usually a few things come along with that. 100% diet adherence. Like if your bro personal trainer or coach sees you having one extra almond, that's it. You're cut off. You're done. You're not willing to do what it takes. You're never going to get lean. You got to train 100% hard, which a lot of people interpret as reaching total muscular failure in every working set. For example, never miss any training days, never push back your training. You know, your daughter could be like born at 4 p.m. and at 3:55, you're on your way to the gym to do legs because that's when your training partners are going to be there, stuff like that, right? Waking up early is often pinned into that. And this whole waking up early business, like, I don't know about you guys, I'm somewhat out of touch. I'm quite a bit older, but when I was in high school and then college, there was this like lore that really serious fitness people woke up before work or school to go running. For some reason, you had to go really early because you could never run after school or work for some reason or at lunch. You had to wake up at 4 in the morning and you had to go run and it had to be outside and it had to be miserable. And that's kind of how you got in shape. And everyone knew that's what it took. And that meant if they didn't think they could have the bandwidth for that, a lot of people didn't even try to get fit because they're like, oh, fitness, it looks like it takes a lot of work. And it actually doesn't. In many cases, it's not that hard to get more fit. But if you have this idea that you have to go 1000% or nothing, then you miss all that really good stuff in the middle. And here's why this claim is really fundamentally wrong. Results, as you could have predicted, lie on a spectrum, and that spectrum scales with the effort that you put in. So for example, generally on average, with some exceptions we'll talk about later, if you put in 50% of the work, adhere to your diet 50% on average, then you'll get like 50% of the results you wanted, which is not 0%. Okay. And more importantly, and even more accurately, if you do something like 90% of the good stuff you're supposed to on your plan, you get something like 90% of the results. There isn't this cutoff switch where it's all or nothing. It just doesn't exist, right? Thus, any effort is better than no effort, and 90% plus is nearly identical to 100% effort. Now you could say, listen, if I'm going 90%, why don't I just give 100? Interesting intellectual sort of blossoming from that intersection of ideas. It's interesting to have a notion that you're giving it 100%. But if you examine all the ways in which you're actually adhering, it turns out it's all in the high 90s. Getting to 100% in any process usually requires an exponential input of effort that sometimes is actually asymptotic and you never reach 100. And even if you do, it costs way more resources. For example, and this is an analogy, but it happens the same way in fitness as well. Let's say you have your room. Okay, what's his name? Jordan Peterson. Clean your room. I don't have a good Jordan Peterson impression. A big fan as well, but as videographer Scott is laughing his ass off my pathetic attempt at Jordan Peterson impression. So cleaning your room. You say you want to clean your room. How much effort is it going to get or take you to get 90% of the dust out of the room? Well, you just vacuum the room and then you pick up the bed and vacuum under that motherfucker. You get the cabinets as well. You do some dusting on the top shelves, this and that, and that's it. That's 90%. It took you 30 minutes and it's done. And then a week later, do it again. No problem. Here's another question. How much effort is it going to take you to take that last 10% of dust and take another 9% off that? 99% of dusting. Also, here's the thing. You've already done all the dusting you can physically see. What you need to do at that point is get some kind of different light that lets you actually see the dust where it is, or have some kind of expert cleaner come in and do this crazy vacuum thing where they like really get into the floors and take all the furniture out and like upholstery clean everything. That might be like $400, whereas like, first one was free in 30 minutes of your time. This one's an hour and a half of your time because you got to let the guys in, be there when they do it, let them out, and pay them money. It's an hour and a half of your time and $400. That's an exponential rise. Now, here's another question. What do we have to do to take your room and make it an Intel chip design clean room? Which is to say, it's not 99% dust-free, it's 99.9% dust-free, or even more than that. Well, like clean rooms just don't happen by themselves. We're taking all of your furniture and just literally throwing it away. We're taking some kind of really insane chemical process that treats your entire room and precipitates the dust out. And anytime you want to enter, you have to have a double door where you're completely cleaned head to toe before you go in, and you can only go in with a full hazmat suit. Really? So when your mom comes in and goes, Robert, I want you to have this room 100% dust-free, the economist inside you should go, that is an insane problem that may be unsolvable with my level of resources and time. Don't say that, you'll just get punished for forever. But it comes back the same way in fitness. Doing 90 to 95% of a plan is going to get you amazing results. But if you say, I need 100% adherence, that means you have to leave so early to go to the gym to anticipate any traffic problems that make it so you don't go to the gym exactly on time. It means that you have to weigh out to the grain of rice and more, and you have to really worry about how the rice is being cooked because it could fill with more or less water, and then the weight is off. It's an insane proposition. And if you just do 90 or 95%, it's so much easier, but gives you almost the same level of results. That exponent's nasty. You don't want to be in that other end of the curve. Here's the big downside. Trying to get to that end of the curve, trying to go from really, really good to perfect, burns people out like crazy all the time, and it leads them to abandon fitness. So that whole mindset, that whole idea of, hey man, you want to get in shape, you either bring me 100% intensity and effort or nothing. You don't ever need to tell that to anyone. You just need to make sure folks are bringing it and going hard. Not the hardest ever, not to their limits, hard. And then you slowly up the bar every now and again, and so have some good days, some bad days. You keep pushing the pace, and over time, you get basically the same fitness results as someone who has this insane grinder mentality for no reason at all. Now, there are some grains of truth here. First, if you really go to the other end and you say, man, you don't need to go 100%, you can start to do this like slacking excuse stuff where you say, hey, listen, this guy on YouTube, Dr. Mike, I think he has a PhD in ornithology or whatever, and he said that you don't have to go hard to get fit. So I'll just start just going a little bit to the gym. And I've literally interacted with folks before who wanted me to write a diet plan for them, and they only went to the gym once a week. Once a week. And for like an hour at a time. And they're like, how much muscle can I gain like this? And I'm like, essentially zero muscle, I guess. And they weren't beginners. A beginner can gain some muscle, also not a lot. And they were kind of like, I kind of wanted to be like, why don't you go 2 or 3 times? But for them, that was too much. And they're like, well, I should get something. And the thing is, if you do a very low amount of things, there actually is the other end. So the one end is if you try to do it all, the exponent takes you into crazy effort levels for almost the same result. If you go back the other way, there's this drop-off point below which you get pretty much no results. And that can actually happen. So we're not trying to say, hey, look, because you don't have to give it your all, you can give it a little tiny pathetic golf putting effort and you'll still win. No way. You got to give it like 90%. I go, that's a lot. But it's a sane amount of a lot, and it's a possible amount of a lot. Second thing, some forms of a lack of adherence can derail actually all of the results, even if you, on paper, seem to, in some ways, not lose a ton of adherence. So, for example, if you are hitting 100% of all of your food is healthy, you're checking off all your workouts, all your daily activity, you're sleeping 8 hours a night, all that stuff, but you go hypercaloric on Saturdays and on Fridays, backwards, Fridays. I'm always trying to pretend I'm human to relate with you guys sometimes, because in my alien world where I'm from, we do the days backwards. So Friday and Saturday, you eat more calories. And you can say to yourself, look, that's just like 2/7. What is that, like 14%? That's like, you're at like 86% adherence on calories if you count by day. But hold on a sec. If you eat so much on those Fridays and Saturdays, and don't you dare say that's impossible, as people do it all the time, you're in a slight deficit for Monday through Thursday and Sunday as well. Friday, Saturday, you know what I'm saying? You're having the time of your life. And all of a sudden, over the week, here's the caloric baseline. You were in a deficit. Had you done Friday and Saturday, it would have been like this. Cheating enough on just Friday and Saturday, sometimes just Saturday, doesn't do this and gets you fewer results. It does this or even this. It either gets you 0 results or backwards results. People are like, man, I'm dieting super hard, but I'm not losing any weight. How hard were you dieting last Saturday? They're like, well, I had a little slip up. A little slip up of an extra pizza on top of your normal daily calories could be literally a good, large, extra large, full topping pizza is like 4,000 calories. All of your day's deficit added up, does that add up to 4,000? Like, no. Okay, that's not even close. My deficit whole for the week is like 2,000. So, if you lose a pound a week, it's a 3,500 calorie deficit. One fucking extra pizza per week can just take you basically just to neutral or even a slight gain. And all of a sudden, you look on paper, well, hold on, my adherence is pretty good. I only had one slip up. Like if you got the total number of meals, you maybe eat like 45 meals a week or something like that. 44 out of 45, you did perfectly. And then one meal, you had an extra pizza on top, right? And the thing is like, this isn't hyperbole. People actually do this shit all the time. And as a personal trainer or someone trying to help people with their fitness, we'll have other videos on this, but you should be a little bit skeptical. Not cynical, but skeptical of when people say like, oh, I'm eating nothing and I'm not losing anything. Like, okay, maybe on average you were eating nothing. Maybe almost always you're eating nothing, quote unquote, or sticking to your plan. Just one little accession of that plan, and by little I mean enormous, but it's just what counts as one meal, means measured by meal frequency and the number of meals you check off as healthy. Damn, dude, you're like 97%. Measured by weekly calorie deficit, you're no longer effective. Just that one change means the whole plan is out. And that's scary, and that adds a real big grain of truth to this all or nothing thing. So for calorie balance, it really is actually all or nothing in the sense that either you generate a deficit or you don't lose any weight. Plain and simple. So where do we go with all this? Where does the balance lie? Best practices, here we go. First, you want to get your calories into either a deficit or surplus, depending on which one you want. If you're trying to gain weight and gain muscle, tons of folks on this channel and most of YouTube are asking like, man, I can't gain weight. What's up? I was at a new gym a few days ago and I hadn't been to a public gym in a long time, mostly just hardcore powerlifting bodybuilding gyms. This was as legit as it gets public gym. The conversation was fucking hilarious because this guy's like, man, I'm not gaining any weight, man. My strength's plateaued. And this other guy's like, you gotta fucking eat more, bruh. And the other guy was like, I am fucking eating. I was like putting my belt on for hack squats. And I would be like, no, you're not fucking eating, you liar. Right? The thing is like that guy might be on point a lot with his diet. But then like he wakes up on Sunday and he's just like, oh, I don't feel like eating. And he has a protein shake. And then his friends come over and they smoke weed and watch movies. And then it's 8 p.m. and he's like, I guess I'm a little hungry. He has a protein bar and he falls asleep. So he's hypercaloric the entire week. And then one fucking day of eating like 600 calories and he's back to neutral. And then next Monday rolls around. He still weighs 179. He was 179 last week. And he's like, what the hell is going on? So make sure your calorie either a surplus if you want to gain or a deficit for sure if you want to lose. Deficits are accumulated over the entire course of the diet. And at the very least, week after week after week. So if you're in a deficit yesterday, deficit today, and tomorrow you're going to surplus like crazy, you can literally just erase all of that and gain all that fat back. It's a thing that happens. So be very mindful of it. No exceptions on the weekly average. Next, on training, train at or above your minimum effective volume, the least amount of volume it takes to actually grow muscle, which means like if you want your legs to get bigger and you're doing 3 sets of squats per week, that might be at your maintenance volume. You're like, look, can't get my legs to grow. I'm training real hard. Even all the sets can be to failure. Maybe you should add another session of squats and then do 6 sets in one session and 6 sets in another. That's 12 sets total. That's for sure going to be over your minimum effective volume in almost every case. And then you actually will grow muscle. So as long as you're in a hypercaloric state and above your minimum effective volume, you should probably be gaining some muscle. Maybe not the maximum unless you do everything right, but something's going to happen. And better is if you're not in a surplus and you're below your minimum effective volume, you almost certainly won't be gaining any muscle. And if you're not in a deficit calorically, you'll almost certainly just not lose any fat, right? Above those 2 points, check your calorie surplus or deficit over the course of the week. Make sure you're training at least enough to cause muscle growth. If you hit those two, you're in a real good position. How much further you go with adherence on the details and stuff like that is up to two things. One is your preference for how fast you want the results. If you're just training for fun and you're not really worried about results coming quick, make sure you hit these two and the results will come, but they'll come really slowly. So after 6 months, you'll be like, oh, cool, I look a little bigger. This is neat. Maybe like, some dads train with their sons. Dad's 35, the son's 15, and they go to the gym together. And it's like a cool bonding experience. Dad could give a fuck if he gets much more muscular. The kid's really getting after it, but you're just there to get results, like a little bit, totally fine, right? If you want maximum results, you do more of the things correctly, but there's that sliding scale again. And then the last thing you want to make sure to figure out is sustainability. What you never really want to do is apply a level of dedication to your training that saps so much of your psychic energy that at some point 3 weeks later, you're like, fuck this. I don't even want to diet and train anymore. I couldn't give a shit less. This is too much. You want to set it at anything below that breaking point. And you can set it pretty intensely. It all depends on you, but intensely enough to where you come back week after week, day after day, month after month, and you're like, nah, man, I still got it. I can still keep doing this. And if you can, you're going to get great results. Your training partners, other people you see on social media, their levels of adherence might be above your breaking point for sustainability. And if they are, do not copy their programs. Don't copy their programs anyway, but all you got to do is get right below, or anywhere below really, that level of sustainability that you can tolerate for long term. And then whatever results you get there, they'll keep going nice and slow, and you'll have the best of all worlds. There's no sense in pushing yourself all or nothing, because what you usually get is burnout, jack shit happens, you get upset, and then you're no longer involved in fitness. So take your time, do things right, come in slowly, get your gains, find out where your limits are, stay under them, but flirt with them, and you'll get the best results that you can possibly get in the real world. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. See you next week for another myth.